Welcome back, and it's time now for our segment that talks about the ancient Egypt and pharaohs, which could be elaborated into many stories, and each Saturday would bring you more interesting element than the other. And this week we have the second Sphinx, story of the second Sphinx. Of course, until now there isn't too many details, but of course Mr. Bassam Shamaa, historian and author of Egyptology, is going to tell us what's the true story about the second Sphinx and if there is a second Sphinx, because most of us Egyptians and the whole world only know one Sphinx, the very popular, very old Sphinx. But the second Sphinx, this is now going to be according to Dr. Al-Shamaa, Mr. Bassam Shamaa. Good morning.
Good morning to you, my dear. Good morning to you.
Forgive my ignorance.
Yeah.
Is there a second Sphinx?
Yes, ma'am.
Where?
The remainings, if you like, the remainings of a second Sphinx. When I was young, a gentleman took me by the hand in front of the Sphinx after I finished my explanation to the British group as a tour guide. And he took me by the hand, stood in front of the Sphinx, and he said, "Here is the Sphinx. Where is the second one?" And that's it. This man disappeared afterwards from my life, and I never saw him again. This gentleman is Professor Genius Vivian Davis, who afterwards became the curator of the British Museum. Years and years, that sentence, that phrase, that very phrase lived deep inside my very historical conscious, if you like. Never discussed it, never went through my mind, never nothing. Years and years afterwards, I'm writing my first book, some 20-something years ago, Egypt, the Civilization. And without knowing, without even noticing or acknowledging the fact that there might be a second Sphinx in Giza, and where exactly, I wrote there might be a second Sphinx in Giza. That's it. And it slept. It slept. It went into slumber. Years and years later, something came and bing in my mind, and I started following and starting searching and researching on how can I prove the existence of a remainings of the second Sphinx. One, why in Giza, and this is a huge why, that just uses the pyramid, why in Giza we only have one Sphinx? So your answer will be, and why not? I tell you why not, because if you go to the Karnak temples, you will find double avenue of sphinxes. The king is going to be saluted, is going to be protected, is going to be taken care of, is going to be in connection with the ancient Egyptian mythological gods while he's going through, entering the big entrance in the pylon of the temple. So, ram-headed sphinxes on the right, ram-heads on this. Go to Luxor temple. Tens and tens and tens of beautiful carved sphinxes for King Nekta Nebu, the ancient Egyptian king, on the right and on the left. Enter the pylon, a seated figure of the king on the right, a seated figure on the left. Take a look at the stele of the dream, the block of stone of granite, which is lying between the two front paws of the existing Sphinx today. You find a huge, gigantic. I got you a picture of the stele of the dream, and they call it the stele of the dream because the king is telling us that he dreamt that the Sphinx came to him and said, "Release me from the sand that is suffocating me, and I'll make you a king." Of course, that's a story he made up because he didn't have the right to take the throne of Egypt. So this is one of the propaganda, if you like, one of the media trumpets, if you like, how he can reach, and how did he reach already, because that was made when he became king. So when you look at that amazing, beautiful picture of the stele of the dream, you will notice that at the top of the scene, two sphinxes carved,
Sir,
not one.
it's not that one.
This, you can see the stele of the dream underneath the chin of the Sphinx and lying between the two front paws. If we come closer, you will find another picture. You will notice that at the top of the stele, carved, we can see the other picture please, two sphinxes carved at the top. So from there we start. Do we have symmetrical designs in ancient
That
Egypt?
one.
Exactly, thank you very much. At the top, you can easily see the two sphinxes. Now, were there two sphinxes because it's artistic duplicity? Or is it symmetrical art? Or is it true symmetrical art? Meaning, on the ground, there were two
There are
sphinxes
two.
that he's trying, exactly. That he's trying to convey to us. He's trying to convey the idea that in this place, in this very Giza plateau, we did have one day two sphinxes parallel to each other, adjacent to each other, same size, same level,
Same size?
same size. But I say male and female. Now, if this is very true, from where did I get this story? I mean, one scene is not enough to introduce such a theory, because I still call it a theory. And indeed, what happened to it if one day, and if it was destroyed, why then the one existing today, it was not destroyed the same? So I'm searching, and then I was introduced to this beautiful block of stone. This beautiful block of stone is called the...
That one.
Thank you very much. Brilliant. The inventory stela, or stela is a Greek word for a block of stone. So inventory or inventory, if you like. Come from Europe, come from the US, so we love them all right? So the inventory stela is, don't be bluffed by the picture, it's 70 centimeter times 42 centimeter. So we're talking about a block of stone that big, that wide. Egyptian Museum, in a corner, nobody is giving it any concern. I say a block of stone, 70 times 42 centimeter, changed the history of ancient Egypt. So size isn't everything in ancient Egypt, or in monuments as a whole.
It's because of the content?
Because of the content. First of all, it was excavated near the Sphinx, so we're talking genuine stuff. Two, it is an ancient text which was rewritten. We have people called the Saitic El-Sawi. This is a very famous dynasty in ancient Egypt. It is the dynasty of the 26th dynasty. Those people came and they wanted to, it's like a Renaissance era. And all the texts that they thought maybe they would be destroyed, they would restore it. Can you imagine this restoration in ancient Egypt to ancient Egyptian monuments? It's pretty amazing that. This is one of those texts. So they are taking the old text, which is now gone, and the people of the 26th dynasty if you like, rewrote this text. This text is telling us something which you are not going to believe. The text is telling us that Khufu, and we all know Khufu, in a cartouche more than once, and mentioned his mer, M-R, is a hieroglyphic word for a pyramid. So now we know that he's Khufu of the pyramid, the king of Egypt, on the 4th dynasty. And there's no discussion about that, there's a fact. And he's telling us in this text that Khufu is heading to Rashetto. Rashetto or Rashtau is Giza, right? What are you heading to Giza for, Mr. Your Highness, King of Egypt? Well, he's there to repaint and restore the destruction which happened on Her Em Achet. This text, this particular text, you are going to restore what happened to Har Em Achet. Har Em Achet is the name of the Sphinx, the Sphinx of today. He's going to restore and to repaint the Sphinx. Why? Because there was a lightning which came down as a decision of the deity of heaven, went down and destroyed a part of Har Em Achet, according to the text. So the text is telling us that thunder and lightning happened one day, and it went down and struck the back of the Sphinx of today and destroyed a part of it. This part is still destroyed till today, by the way. When I went and I studied, it's still destroyed. It is the ponytail of the nemes that the Sphinx is wearing, the headdress that the Sphinx is wearing. So now we know that this is true. This text is perfectly correct because it's giving us figures which you can still say, yeah, it's true today, because if you make your measurements today, you'll find that this text is true. But hold on for a minute. What are you trying to tell me? You're trying to tell me that Khufu is restoring the Sphinx? But we all know that Khufu was the father and the grandson and the grandfather, and the story that you all know.
Yes.
That Khafra came after
After
Khufu and Jed and all the guys.
Yep.
So this text is not only telling us that there was an event that happened at the Sphinx area, but it's telling us that the Sphinx existed in the days of Khufu.
What Sphinx?
The Sphinx of
The
today.
current one.
The current.
The current
but,
one.
But by my question, the main question now is the Sphinx that we can presume that it was there, but it's not there anymore. There remains. Was it the same size?
No,
And more
exactly the
gigantic?
same. Why exactly the same? Because of the symmetrical design that ancient Egyptians believed in. Imagine
Who is
yourself.
older? I mean, if there
Both
are
are the carved at the same time.
same time.
According to my modest theory.
Okay.
Now, picture yourself standing in front of the Sphinx. Now, picture yourself, all our viewers, picture yourself in front of the Sphinx. What's in front of the Sphinx directly? The temple of the Sphinx. Now, adjacent and parallel to the temple of the Sphinx is the temple we call the Valley Temple, Ma'bad al-Wadi, which we enter. We don't people don't enter the Sphinx temple, but we enter the Valley Temple. We are allowed. Now, the Sphinx temple, there is a Sphinx behind it, the current one. So this is praying to this deity. Makes sense. Valley Temple, right behind it, empty. What is this temple doing? Ancient Egyptians did not build temples because they liked it. They built temples because they were praying. Right? So what is this? What's the function of this temple if indeed there is nothing behind it, or indeed in front of it, which is the deity to whom this temple is dedicated to? So number one, we have a temple with no deity. Few centimeters is a temple with a deity. Now, to complete your...
Why did the pharaohs build the Sphinx in the first place?
Well,
To guard?
first of all, it was carved, not built, right?
Okay.
So we are talking
Carved.
because there is a
Okay.
difference.
Carved.
And two is because it's a deity. Her em Akhit, as I told you, the name of the Sphinx, this is a deity on its own. It's worshipped. Protection, yes, of course, because it's one of the types of protection. But the interesting thing is, since we don't have a Sphinx on its own, and since we have a temple with nothing behind it, so presumably there must be a deity behind it. And since if you want to complete your, if you like, equilibrium of the scene,
I mean, if
so
we
there is
do
a
have
missing...
another Sphinx, a female one this time, then the theory of protection is not going to be practical anymore.
This is religious. This, what I'm trying to say,
another
this has
issue.
They got nothing to do with protection this time. It's got something to do with religion. Why? Because if you go back to the ancient Egyptian, you will find that the creator, from the ancient Egyptian point of view, the creator, the first thing he created was his son and his daughter. So you have Shu and Tefnut. Those are the names of the sun. So we have the dew of the morning. That's Tefnut. That's the destroyed one. Now, how would it be destroyed? And why the other one was not destroyed? And indeed, why are they restoring this one? Khufu is restoring the current one and repainting, and he's not restoring the second one, if indeed my words were correct. Well, because the destroyed one is the goddess of the female mythological deity of the dew. And the dew of the morning is humidity, it's humid, right? And humidity destroys temples.
Yes.
So it's an enemy. So if the thunder came down and destroyed, I'm not going to restore you. I'll leave you. I'm not going to touch this area. And isn't it the most amazing that nobody did, all through histories? Not ancient Egyptian, not Greek, not Persian, not Roman, not Coptic Christians, not Muslims, not modern times. How this is so amazing. Why is this area untouched at all? Not one attempt of rebuilding a destroyed carved statue. Why? And are we sure that there was thunder and lightning? Text is telling so. Selim Hassan, Baj, you name it. All the famous names. So, I'm telling this to a group of my people during my guiding. A lady from Oregon, United States. Sitting at home, knock, open, the mailman is delivering to me an envelope. She's not an Egyptologist. I didn't meet her in my life again. Bless her. Bless her. Changed my life. Changed my life. Open the envelope, and what do I find? We have this, please. Also with our beautiful director. She is beautiful. Right. So, what is this? The map. The map of every single monument in the Giza Plateau. Drawn by hand. Exquisite. Superimposed on a picture. Exactly. Can we take a look at the bigger one, please? Before that one? The other one, please. Same colors, but bigger. Yes. So, bring the map, superimpose it on the
That one?
colored picture. Thank you very much. On the colored picture of NASA. So that's what she did, our American friend. Right? So what do we find? We find the map is fitting with the picture of the radar by the NASA like gloves. The 3 pyramids, 3 yellow spots. Here, 1, Khufu, Khafra, Menkaura, the 3 small pyramidians, Menir, Menkaura, and all of that. Yellow spots, heating up. Remember the thermography that we talked about?
Yes.
So, enlarge. God bless my father, worked a great deal on that. He's not an Egyptologist, he's a doctor. He was a physician, God bless his soul. Enlarge, and that's what we get. Can we take a look at the other one, please? Thank you.
Yeah.
What do we see? Here is the answer for both of you. Here is the Sphinx of today. This is the whole area. Here is the Sphinx of today.
Yes.
Here is the temple.
Mr. Bassam?
Yes, thank you very much. If you take a look, you'll find the Sphinx of today drawing. Right above, if you like, the red circle. Right? Recumbent. The Sphinx is recumbent. Right? In front of it is the Sphinx temple. Adjacent to it, on the lower part of the picture, on the right, is the Valley temple.
The other temple. Yeah.
You're right. Behind it is empty, as we said. Well, excusez-moi, it is not empty. Because if you look very carefully, you will notice a yellow spot with a red circle around. What is this yellow spot? So I sent to NASA by fax. In those days, there was no internet. Talking about the 90s. So I say, there was an internet, but so, no Facebook. I sent, and here they are, 3 days, I guess, and a complete laboratory boss reply every single thing I asked. I said, what is the nature of this yellow spot? And right here is the report. Summarize it in a couple of sentences. It says that it is a carved stone. Under the sand, when I went there to study even more, I found a bit of it is above the sand. So this is the remainings after the destruction of the thunder and the light, according to my theory. So I went a little bit greedy. And it's good to be greedy with science. You know what I mean by greedy, of
Sure.
course. So I sent another one, another fax. Can you tell me when it was carved? They said, no, we are NASA. We are not geologists.
We're not Egyptologists.
We're not Egyptologists.
We're not historians.
Exactly. So I went like, I forgot myself, and I thought, well, maybe they're going to give me the answer of 2,560. So bingo, it will prove my theory beyond the shadow of a doubt. And I said, thank you very much. In the report I'm reading, and here is the sentence. A carved stone, which can be carved by the hands of nature or by human hands. And that's it. So that is the result that I had from NASA. This yellow spot is a stone, 1. 2, remainings of some kind of carving. 3, it could be carved by nature or it could be carved by human. 4, I would love to think so. 4, the symmetrical design is absent. And that is not ancient Egypt. Ancient Egypt is always symmetrical. 5, the cult of ancient Egypt is telling us that the God of creation, according to the mythological, created 2. Now here comes the surprise. Those 2, we have a picture of 2 lions. So the text is telling us in ancient Egypt that when he created his son and his daughter, he created a lion and a lioness. Now, what's the responsibility? Well, what do they do? I mean, why do we create such thing? Text is telling us in ancient Egypt is that the lion will take the solar disk in its jaws and it will pass it to his sister. Mythological. And mythologically, she's going to take the solar disk in her jaws and she's going to pass it to her brother. And by this, the lion and the lioness are continuing, if you like, the full circle of life. Sunrise, sunset, sunset, sunrise, and so on and so forth. So, that is the reason I thought there must be two. Because if there was one, so then you're going to have one sunrise, and that's it, thank you very much. Because there will be no other sunsets and sunrises. And that's, of course, not ancient Egypt at all. And that's why don't get surprised by seeing lots and lots of scenery for the two gods and goddesses. Always the twos. For example, Sennacherib, a very famous, beautiful, small tomb in the West Bank of Luxor. The lion and the lioness. And how did I know the difference between the lion and the lion? Why are they with the two lions? Why are they not two lionesses? And I'll tell you, take a closer look at the mane. If we can, I got you the picture, please, we can show it. If you like, look at the mane. Exactly, thank you very much. If you look at the mane, what is the mane? The mane is the hair of the lion, right? The huge hair of the lion. So, you will notice that one mane is shorter than the other. We get the male, we get the female. Always the male lion with his hair all over the place, right? And it's like longer than the female and more beautiful, I shall say. So now we are sure that there is a male and female. Link this to the cult text. So bingo. And by this, finally I tell you that having one Sphinx in Giza is the weird thing, not the opposite. Because you think, two Sphinxes, here comes Bassam with his amazing ideas out of the box, right? Well, no. Well, next time you're in front of the Sphinx, think that one is what makes your eyes not very comfortable with the scene. Because you're always acquainted in ancient Egypt with the duplicity, with this, with that. The reply from the classic historians was, no, those two in the sceneries were the symmetrical art and not necessarily on the ground of reality. I say, listen guys, when the ancient Egyptians mentioned one obelisk in the scene, he meant one obelisk. When Hatshepsut mentioned the two obelisks, she drew two obelisks. Thank you very much.
Unfortunately, we ran out of time. But you promised us that next week we could continue on this very particular topic, because I can feel that there is a lot to be said about the other Sphinx property. Hopefully that we could discover more. Thank you, Mr.
Good things come in twos, my dear. Good things come in twos.
Hopefully.
Well, after the short break, we are going to return back with the last segment of the breakfast show. So stay tuned only on Nile TV International.